A Clash in Italy is officially in the books. The consensus coming out of this show is that WWE is just, well, creatively bankrupt. WWE is now going back to the same storylines over and over again. But why are they doing this? And is there anything WWE can do to turn this around? Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at why it's time for Triple H to leave WWE creative behind. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Well, here we go again. When Cody Rhodes conquered Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40, it marked the end of an era. Reigns' record-making world title reign was over, and in theory, this should have marked the end of the Bloodline saga. This was seen by many fans as the final chapter of the saga, and WWE did a stellar job painting this idea, as the main event of WrestleMania was universally praised and for very good reason. However, just after WrestleMania 40, WWE decided to rekindle the faction, albeit in a new form. WWE would have Solo Sikoa take over the faction, and he was eventually joined by new names such as Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. Whilst Fatu was without a doubt the standout of this new version of the faction, fans just weren't that invested in what the group were doing. The group was set up to feud with Reigns when he eventually returned to the company, and when this return went down at the 2024 SummerSlam event, something just fell off. Reigns was now back in the company as a babyface, yet he had done little to redeem himself as a fictional character. He was still the same manipulative wrestler he always was since 2020, and when the Usos reunited with him for War Games, the Usos basically acted like nothing ever happened. It was weak storytelling and basically undid all the equity that WWE had built up when it came to the Usos as independent characters. But one of the main reasons why Sikoa's version of the faction ultimately failed was that the characters lacked any identity at all. The group would eventually be known as the MFTs, and they would cut ties with Fatu, whilst adding names such as JC Mateo and Tala Tonga. Names such as Mateo and Tonga Loa received zero character development during their time in the faction, and they received zero reaction whatsoever from the live crowd. WWE probably just assumed that because these characters were linked to the original Bloodline in some way, that they were instantly going to get over with the live audience. This was really short-sighted and rather naive of the company, and this is why it backfired in a major way. Mateo and Loa would be released as part of the post-WrestleMania budget cuts, and it wasn't exactly a big surprise. WWE had done a huge disservice to the duo, specifically Mateo, who was a huge star in Japan. Mateo and Loa would be released as part of the post-WrestleMania budget cuts, and it wasn't exactly a surprise. A lot of fans felt like Mateo was DOA because WWE would give him the atrocious name of JC Mateo, before presenting him in the most unusual manner possible in his horrendous debut match versus LA Knight. Mateo without a doubt could have been a big star for the company, yet his presentation and subsequent release highlighted that WWE just sometimes doesn't have a single clue what they're doing. Panic stations. Throughout 2025, WWE would tease a new incarnation of the Bloodline storyline. At Crown Jewel Perth, WWE would tease tension between the Usos and Roman Reigns, and they devoted an extended post-match angle to this hostility. This didn't go anywhere of note, and the next time the trio was seen on screen as a unit, it was never addressed in any capacity. WWE were potentially looking to do another run of the Usos versus Reigns, but it's possible they realized they only did this 2 years prior, and they needed something fresh and unique. WWE's next bold idea was to have Reigns win the world title at WrestleMania 42. Reigns won the world title in an all-time classic versus CM Punk, and even though the match was universally praised, there was some real concern that WWE were going to have a part-time world champion as the face of Raw. Thankfully, this wasn't the plan, as Reigns actually committed to another full-time TV run. However, the issues came from the fact that WWE's grand plan was to simply reform the original Bloodline. The Usos would be back at the side of Reigns, showing no agency whatsoever, and undoing all their work over the past 2 years. This especially didn't make any sense for Jey Uso, as just last year, Jey won the world title whilst away from the Bloodline faction, so it has been questioned why on earth he needs the group. Jey has gone from a fun-loving character who yeets to a character who growls at anyone who has an issue with Reigns. He's become one of the weakest and most unlikable characters on the entire show, and it's a massive shame as Jey is such a likable figure in real life. Coming out of WrestleMania 42, WWE would then proceed with a Reigns vs Jacob Fatu rivalry. This was indeed fresh, however coming out of Clash in Italy, the majority of fans completely turned on WWE's creative trajectory. They would have Reigns defeat Fatu, and due to the stipulation of the tribal combat gimmick, this meant that Fatu must now worship and acknowledge Reigns. Now, firstly, it needs to be questioned how on earth Reigns is a babyface in WWE right now, and his manipulation and gaslighting has reached a new level. And secondly, it needs to be addressed how WWE has done this exact storyline with Jey Uso years prior. Now, if it wasn't bad enough, WWE would actively tease another Bloodline vs MFT storyline after Reigns' match with Fatu. The reveal received absolutely no reaction from the live crowd, and fans called out WWE on social media, as a common consensus is that they have zero interest whatsoever in seeing this unfold in any capacity. Right now, WWE could be doing so many new things with Reigns' title run. There's an array of names on the roster that he's never even worked with, yet WWE just wants to redo the same stories over and over again. What happens when it backfires? Who will be blamed? Will it be Reigns? Fatu? It's going to be an interesting few months if fans begin to reject the storyline on TV. One thing's for sure is WWE is clearly out of ideas, and they're assuming that rekindling the same Bloodline storylines will revert the company to the heights of 2023 or 2024. Whilst a lot of fans are blaming Triple H for this, it has been claimed that Reigns has some creative control in WWE, so it's possible that he's pushing for these types of storylines involving his family. Pro wrestling is a unique medium, as every time that a wrestling company is trying to recapture the magic of a successful time period, their solution is to redo the exact same storyline and gaslight the audience into thinking that they're seeing something new. WCW did this time and time again with the New World Order faction, and by the time the year 2000 came around, the faction had lost all credibility, and it was seen by fans as a total joke at that time. WWE has also been guilty of this as well for decades. In the 90s, the Vince McMahon vs Stone Cold Steve Austin rivalry in essence saved the company, and it was one of the biggest reasons why the Attitude Era was so successful. And it was why pro wrestling became an ingrained part of pop culture in that same period. McMahon would then try to redo the babyface versus evil authority figure storyline every single year for the next 25 years in some capacity, and it never once took off to the levels of Austin versus McMahon. While it is understandable why wrestling companies such as WWE do this, they do need to learn from history. The company needs to develop new compelling storylines, as pro wrestling fans aren't stupid. They're incredibly loyal and will stick through the show even when it's completely horrendous, but they also need to be rewarded with unique, engaging storylines, as that's where the company thrives and prospers. Is Triple H really the issue though? As following Clash in Italy, a lot of fans were calling for Triple H to be replaced as head of WWE Creative. Is this rational? Well, it's evident that the game has lost his way over the past 12 months. The game has been focused on other projects, and last year he even missed Raw to attend a Netflix comedy special taping, and when pressed about something that occurred on Raw, he had absolutely no idea what the interviewer was talking about. WrestleMania 42 was also a big sign that Triple H was struggling with the role. The WrestleMania match card changed literally every week, and talent just weeks away from the show was stating in interviews that they had no idea what they were doing on the show. Granted, WWE had a ton of injuries to deal with, yet a lot of matches weren't affected by injuries and they were still changed a number of times. The WWE title match went from Cody Rhodes vs Roman Reigns to Cody Rhodes vs Drew McIntyre to a fatal 4-way to then Rhodes vs Randy Orton. Even this final match had to be changed as TKO insisted that WWE insert celebrities such as Pat McAfee. It was a total mess. A lot of the blame does fall on Triple H, yet there are clearly wider issues at hand. TKO are likely getting to him, as he's unable to deliver what he wants with top storylines as they keep butting their heads in. Even WWE champion Cody Rhodes referenced how TKO were meddling with his storylines every year, and this became such a talking point amongst fans that WWE integrated it into a WrestleMania main event storyline. There's also been some issues with attendance. Both the recent SmackDown and Raw that took place in Europe had areas topped off, as these seats in specific areas hadn't even been sold. WWE failed to budge on ticket prices, and this is the result. WWE is still charging substantial amounts of money for a product that isn't at the level it was years prior, and this is such a strange business call. It's almost as if TKO believes that if they keep ticket prices the same, they can trick fans into thinking that they're getting a strong product. WWE is clearly pushing for the super rich fans to attend their shows and take part in life-changing experiences such as sitting at the commentary desk or making pasta, yet WWE has never truly been about this, and it's definitely short-sighted. Ultimately, there are countless issues with WWE right now. Yes, the creative is stale, and yes, Triple H has clearly had enough. But how are these issues addressed? Replacing Triple H isn't going to suddenly turn things around. And who do you even replace him with? It's a total mess, and it's hard to come up with a solution that is going to turn the company's fortunes around. What do you guys think? Is it time for Triple H to go? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.